Greetings. Nice to see you out tonight. I had quite a day today. Picked up my mother at her house to take her to the airport, where she was supposed to catch a bus to another town to spend Thanksgiving with a friend. And I got her to the airport. We stopped and ate at the Cracker Barrel, and immediately I got sick right afterwards. There was some turkey sausage on that plate. I don't know whether there's turkey or not, but it made me sick. I just got rid of it. Just got home a little bit ago. I got there, and my mother didn't know where to go, which isn't unusual. And so we found a lady there working at the airport that would take her where she was supposed to go. So I left her with this lady who demanded that I buy her a soda. So I gave her $10, and she took her to the place where she was supposed to go. And so I got away from the airport about 10 miles, and I got a call from her, and she said that the lady took her to the wrong place. She didn't know where to go. But finally it got straightened out. Now I was just turning around to go back because I didn't know where to go either. And she called and said that the people from the bus called her and told her they'd pick her up where she was. It's a blessing. My mother's 84 years old. And it's just amazing to me how she gets around at that age. She goes every place. Just got back from Canada. She spends a few weeks every year with the Hutterites up there, goes to Europe, and she doesn't have a penny to her name, but she does this on either frequent flyer or somebody sends her a donation to come. She's still very popular. She used to be on tour with a Haitian quartet and ran the ministry down in Haiti that we had. So she's like me. She just can't sit still. Gotta go, gotta go, gotta go. And when I was growing up, they called my parents the Renegades. The Renegades. Yeah, the Hutterites, they're wonderful people. I was up there last year about this time. And this is my first time that I went to the commune that my mother's been going there for about 18 years. And they're heavy supporters of the ministry in Haiti. And I just couldn't believe my eyes in that Hutterite community. You know, the communists. Communists in a good way. But if they want to go shopping, they've got to ask for $25 to go. They can't just get any money because they don't have any money. It's all given into a common pot, whatever they have. They give everything to live in there. But when you see the place in there, the agriculture that's going on, the factory they have for plastics, cider mill, everything you can think of growing, including morel mushrooms up in Manitoba. And the people, of course, they all dress alike, all get up at the same time, all eat at the same time. They're really conformed. They have their services on Sunday. One service is in German, and the service consists of reading a sermon from one of their founders back in the 16th century. And they have a little less uptight one in the afternoon. But they all dress alike. They all pretty much look alike. And there's about 100 children there. They have, for school, it's like state of the art. out in the middle of nowhere. Everybody's got a great big old computer screen and a computer and all kinds of facilities. They just hauled in 5 new Yamaha pianos, which I got to play all of them. And they showed me their latest edition, which was a print factory there. So now they're publishing their own books. They always had a bookstore, but they not only publish books, but they publish huge posters and anything else they can do. They've got everything there. It's astounding. And the place only got started in the mid-70s. So this is one that was evidently run very well. And I know the administrator of the entire colony. He's a good guy, but they're straight and they're plain. Plain we live, plain we die. And we're not going to die while there's any money in the coffer. Okay, we're all here now. This is for cognitive pneumatology. If you're not with that group, that's okay. Just stick in. You'll probably learn something. First thing I want you to do, if it's possible, is to go to chat and simply type your name in chat so I can have a record of who's here. Could you do that now? If you're on the phone, let me know that and I will type your name in for you. So when we save this video, also the chat notes come down with it. Oh, I see that chat, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, 10. There's only 6 people here and there's 10 chats. I guess some people said shalom and hello. And okay, TJ's on the phone. Okay, very good. Next thing I need to know, if you have the ability to type this into chat again, I need to know where you're at in this process. There is no hurry, although you probably need to stick to it because there's still a lot to come. I told you it would be difficult. But when you get done with this, you're going to really have something. I've been working on it today since I've been home from the airport. Got quite a bit more done. And we're almost to the end as far as the track goes. I'm not seeing the chat lighting up much right now. I don't want you to feel pressure or a lot of pressure. Whatever pressure you feel, it needs to be focused into just doing it rather than being intimidated about it. How many modules are there? There are 8 modules. Okay, good, good. Catch up as you can. Did you look at that video, Allison? Oh, what was your take on it? I haven't seen it yet. Was it good? Oh, yeah, was it good? No reply. All right, practical. Is that everybody that's on board here? Let's see. Seems like we lost somebody. All right, I'm going to go look at module 2 just a second. EsseneAcademy.com, course 16. That would be merging personality and spirituality. Oh, yeah, this one. Enneagram. All of it's important. But you know, the extra reading and audios and stuff, you can skim through if there is a overlap, skip it. So I really need to talk about the third module coming up, because this is where there is to be exercise. Oh, the other person we're missing is Mark. Okay. So I'm going to go over to Spiritual Gifts Revelation, Book 1, Charismata. I'm going to take you along with me on the screen. Oh, where are you? How did Acts of Peter dovetail? Being on the road to the ninth gate? And what? Oh, yeah. Well, I didn't look at Gurdjieff on that. If you've got a little advice on that, that would be good. I think Liz looked into it a little bit for me, but I mainly found that reference in the Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita, the way things are. I can see how that would follow on. In the third module, you go through Spiritual Gifts of Revelation, Book 1. And what we need to do is to do some type of act of ministry. And I want to show you what I've done in the past here. And explain why I don't want to do this again, but I want to do something similar. The big act of ministry in regards to the charismatic Romans 12 gifts, charismata, that is, favors, comes at the end of the first book. Basically, all you really have to do with that first book is to fill in the blanks and read it. There are numerous acts of ministry in there as far as songs and poems and liturgical stuff and prayers. I was really hoping that if we could somehow, at least some of us, get together at the boot camp, we could go through and use those prayers and songs in our worship there and introduce them to whoever happens to show up there. So far, I don't know, I think probably we have 15 people that want to come, and we need we need at least 20 people to financially make it for that. But in the active ministry, we're assuming that everybody's all together. I will usually do this entire book in 1 week with a group. Try to keep the group to 12 or less. Separate participants into groups of 4 to 10, depending how big it is, with each group representing as many favors as possible. Now, I use the term favors because that's really what charismata translates as. In fact, none of those words that are translated into English as gifts are gifts. None of them. Again, this points to the deficit of translators here, and that translators don't want to deviate from Old English translations. There's a lot of difference between favors and gifts, which you'll read about when you get into this book. The group leader, that is you're the leader, will choose real-life problems, one or several, and there are several that are enumerated in the book throughout it. And the groups will solve them in similar fashion to the exercises. Yes, there are exercises in there. They're pretty easy, but they're very exemplatory of what you actually would be doing. There's always to be a win-win outcome in an active ministry. The groups will also specify why certain ones were not chosen for the work. So you're going to break into groups, and whoever's the leader of the group will choose their group members. When a person is not the best choice, she will humbly admit it or say his or her piece. Now, of course, if a person is motivated as a teacher, for instance, you're going to find your motivational favor in this part of the course. And your ministry is to say, heal a sick person. Well, you might not especially want a teacher there. And you'll learn in this why you might not want a teacher-motivated person, or any of these motivations are not necessarily what they can do. A prophetically motivated person, that doesn't mean they can prophesy. Teacher doesn't mean that they can teach. Servant doesn't mean they can serve. These are personality styles. And through this third module, what we'll find is that the graces or favors in Romans 12 may be overlaid with the Enneagram, 9 different ones, as well as the temperament, 5 different ones. They can be overlaid. We could say, oftentimes, for instance, somebody that comes out as teacher motivated would be perhaps a melancholy in temperament, and maybe a type 5 in the Enneagram, or 6. So there is a very good correspondence between these. What does that have to do with spirituality? It has a lot to do with spirituality, in that there is the platinum rule: do unto others as they would have you do unto them, rather than do unto others as you would do unto yourself. And in order to do that, ministry has to be very sensitive. The minister has to be sensitive to the person's personality. For instance, you wouldn't want to have a prophetic type person with their finger pointing at the person and going right up and saying, "You demons, get out of here," and start shouting, at somebody that was, say, Enneagram type 2. That would devastate them. But sometimes you need to send a prophet, prophetically motivated person, into the active ministry, especially if the person is in some type of mortal sin or actually needs deliverance. Oftentimes the best people for deliverance are prophetically motivated. But these two overlap. So if a leader will pick out the ones they need by, not by so much personality, but by their motivational favors, their gifts, we want to match the gifts with the ministry we're going to do. The event is open with a time limit, then each group will present. Now look, when I did this in person at various places, well, the last time I did anyway, it's been quite a while ago, we had a dozen people. And after this part of the course was over, I had a critically ill person to come in. And the ministry event was to heal this person, not to go away until there was a healing. And then later we would justify that healing with their doctor's report. And what I found when I tried to use 12 people at the same time, that they got in each other's way. So I put a few rules down. I wrote this right after the last time, that the prophesying motivated and the encouraging motivated are hereby warned against monopolizing group time. The prophesying type will like to talk, very opinionated. The encouraging likes to socialize, and they will take a lot of time up that could be used, especially when an active ministry comes up, in a better fashion. Those of the leading and the motivating motivations are warned not to hijack the project so as to bring it to a quick non-group conclusion. Leading, a type 8 will say in the Enneagram, I think you know what I'm talking about now, and a motivating, a type 3, they will take over. And in the end, they often have the idea that nobody else can do this but me. They will take over and do the active ministry, and they might even get in each other's way, fighting out who's going to do it and leaving the rest behind. Then the serving or managing or caring, they're warned that they must speak up at least 3 times. These are more melancholy, phlegmatic type people. And they will quite often stay in a little group off to the side and not have anything to do with an active ministry. They need to have at least the boldness in this initial exercise to speak up. And in this book, I put lots and lots and lots of prayers and examples so that even if you're not one that can speak up, you'll be able to remember these things. They're very short, and you'll be able to use them. Teachers and administrators are warned to be open to the opinions of others. Both of these types are quite closed in their thinking, often not open to what another one has received through the Holy Spirit. Because after all, they're either teachers or they run the thing. Sharers should count the cost of criticism, then take an offering. They're usually not too useful in this type of ministry. But the sharer, when a person is through with the active ministry, will often go and offer either the minister or the one being ministered to a Pentecostal handshake. That is a right hand with at least a $20 bill in it. Oh, I'm trying to see where this will fit there. Then discuss the consequences of various gifted individuals falling into their unhealthy attitudes. This is again where the Enneagram comes in. Though there are 9 types, and there are actually 9 motivational favors in Romans 12, he only lists 7. But from practical experience, I have learned that 2 of those that he lists are really 2 others each, which you'll read about here pretty soon. But your Enneagram, spiritual, physical health has a lot to do with how you behave, or anyone. Part of what we have to learn during the Enneagram stuff that you're doing right now, and we're just touching the surface of this, because when we're done with this, you'll decide where you want to go and what you want to get involved in with it. But we have to be able to gauge our health, whether our health is excellent or our health is poor, or sometimes our health dips into the ranges of personality disorders. I believe that I have an essay up there for Module 2 that has to do with the correlation between Enneagram types and personality disorders. Discuss the consequences of various gifted individuals falling into their unhealthy attitudes and how those unhealthy attitudes might impact the selected problem in undesirable ways. If you have a type 9, for instance, and they don't want to feel on board with this, because usually a type 9 is rather phlegmatic. If they're unhealthy, what they might do is do some act of passive aggression to actually forestall or waylay the act of ministry altogether. Oh yes, I've seen that. It's why the Enneagram has been so helpful to me in ministry, as well as these other types. You can almost pick them out. Each group will have a maximum of 10 minutes to state the problem chosen, the solution, and the anti-solution. Be succinct. This description is intentionally vague. The leader, you, will make the rest of the decisions. So what we have to do, and what I'll do, but I want to throw this out to you, is we've got to make this into an exercise that we can do in a remote fashion. I would like to just say, write on this, or, do an essay or something, but that takes out the practical entirely. So you be thinking about that, and I'll be working on it. I wanted to also ask you, if at all possible, go to church on Sunday nights. Go to United Pentecostal, or go to Apostolic Church. They're wild churches, Jesus-only churches. But quite often, the gifts are flowing on a Sunday night. Or if you know a charismatic church that has a Sunday night service, that might work, but they're pretty quiet these days, I guess. But I'm going to start doing that this next Sunday. I've already got the place picked out. See, they don't know me in this town at all. I've not got any social roots here. And so I feel like I can go into one of these and sit on the middle pew or something like that and take in and see what's going on, where people meet in order to actually use these things. But what I would ask you to do is to go and observe with a notepad. Write down the active ministry that's happening. What you see that's happening is right, and what you think that is happening is wrong and not of the Spirit. Check mark those things that you believe that are of the Spirit, and also turn on your spiritual antenna and see if you feel anything in there. That's going to help a lot, especially if you've never been around that kind of thing before. Then the last part of this act of ministry, just for your information while we're here, a short final act, choose one sharing, one leading, one motivating, and one encouraging person. Continue identifying direct types until you have 4. Choose them. You are the leader. Give one of them this note, folded and taped together, and ask them to leave the room until they take care of the note. Here's what your note will say. Type this in a very small font or very small handwriting. Make it hard to get into. You've been chosen by the author of the book Spiritual Gifts Revelation to fulfill a mission. After the presentation of certificates, if we do that, please see to it as discreetly as possible that the leader of the seminar gets a very generous donation to his or her ministry with an opportunity for everyone to participate. Discreet is what it must be. If your leader has books or CDs, whoever's leading, buy them. Don't allow them to leave. Use your innate noetic favors to get this job done, and your seminar leader will bless you. I will certainly bless you. And you have my word that the Father will not only bless you, but make you feel real good when you succeed in your first motivational gifts ministry. Yeah, well, it's important, I think. It's important for somebody that is a leader of anything, because this is a way to show them you appreciate them. You can tell them to high heaven. Or if you're the leader, you deserve it. Because this is usually quite a difficult ministry. Now, I said before that I had done this with a group of 12 last time. What turned out happening was just pretty much what I said here, that the servant, sharing motivated, managing motivated, they kind of stayed in the back, didn't say a thing. Then we had all the tongue talkers up around this sick person yakking. And the ones that I felt that had at least tested, because I didn't know them very well, tested to have a gift as a healer or a gift of ministry, they couldn't get to the object of the ministry, because those that were prophetically oriented and those that were motivation oriented, motivating and leading, they're right up there doing it, yakking in tongues, shouting in tongues. I had stopped the ministry. And I said, all you tongue talkers, is there distance in the Spirit? Of course, the answer is no. I said, then will you please leave the room and go out there? If there's no distance in the Spirit, you can minister in your way out there. And that brought the ones with the healing gifts to the fore. They just couldn't compete with the others. That's why in this particular exercise, I would say, pick the ones out by their motivational gifts, and later in the next book by their pneumatic gifts before you even start an active ministry. And you can see that there are other exercises in here. And all these exercises have happened to me. Let's see. Sherry, this is in book 1, Spiritual Gifts of Revelation. You're going to do this on paper because you've got these people in your group: Oral Robertson, prophesying favored; Teresa Calcutta, serving favored; Wally Peepsters, teaching favored; Joyce McBrothers, encouraging favored; Zippler, motivating favored; Andrew Carnuga, sharing favored; Amanda Hammer, leading favored; Jamal R. Rylands, managing favored; and Celeste Be Helpful, carrying favor with the right wing of encouragement. In common situations, you're to choose the ones that you need for the particular situation, assuming they're all Enneagram spiritual healthy. These situations are not fictional. One influential yet spiritual person outside your team has a strong prophetic conviction that the assembly should have a Passover Seder this year, as in the Bible, rather than the traditional Easter egg hunt. The egg hunt is not very spiritual. In fact, it is very pagan, but it has always been easy to prepare, and the kids love it. How many pastors have I asked, why do you do this? Because the kids love it. Can't you think of anything better than that? The Seder directions make it clear that the fellowship hall needs to be set up. There are several special ethnic dishes to be cooked. Some material must be ordered and distributed. And the rehearsals. But your team wants to do it. Considering your volunteers and their favors, who all do you assign to what tasks and why? What obstacles will you face? And what will the children do? So one more here. An unwed mother lives in the community with her child and her mother. Her mother dies unexpectedly. Your church friend, Celeste Be Helpful, tells you about this and wants you to do something to help. What kind of help is needed? What will you do? And who will do it? It's your responsibility, remember? You have to take into account your own ability. I would not be the one to send into that situation. And it would occur to me that the very person who's calling on you to do it would be the one to go. Correct? All right, going over to the next one. And then we'll be done. Here's the second act. This comes after the second book and is in the back of the second book. Suppose the assembly is in session and someone comes for prayer for some situation. You get as far as the renouncing and confession. Suddenly this person falls down and starts writhing and crying out hysterically. What do you do? This has and will happen. Remember, the place is full and visitors are there. How might some of the prayers in this book be useful to a ministry like that? Write a litany. Have you been able to discern the power of personified evil in any of these particular situations? And what would you do about it? So again, at boot camp, I hope you can make it. We'll be using some of these acts of ministry in our worship there, and we can discuss this at some length there. And I think that I'm just going to make this the whole issue of the seminar because it is so important, so important. But if you have these books, the best thing to do when you get done with Unit 2, Sherry, will you please sign in on chat and tell me how you're coming along with this, okay, before you go, so I have a record of it. In going through this again, I realize these are great little books. They're very good. If you have no opportunity to get one, or get each one, or you can't afford it, let me know, and I'll send you a PDF. Or I think the PDFs are out there to download. It's just so much easier to do when you have the paper book. How about this? Legion was a demonized believer. Read it closely. The first evangelist. Chat. Okay, excellent. We're coming along fine. Very good. I look forward to them too. In fact, I'm ready to go to boot camp right now. Now, one last thing for me is I'm in the need of prayer. I just keep getting sick and sick and sick. My digestive tract, I don't know if it's food poisoning that keeps coming back and coming back, but I just could hardly get through the day today. And I had to go to the airport all the day. So put me down on your prayer list, will you? You don't have to say a bunch of prayer. Just command whatever this thing is to be gone in the name of Yahshua HaMashiach. Are there any questions before we go? No questions? Thank you, my friends, for coming. If there's anything you need in this realm, just get in touch with me by email. I try to get through my emails every day. I love you, and I'm so gratified that you're doing this. I am so gratified. We probably will do this again in a month. Try to get to the third module by then, all right? Okay. Good evening, my friends.